Hey everybody, Steve Lowell here. A lot of you know that my wife Jane and I have been spending a lot of time traveling the world, speaking at conferences and conventions. And as a result, we've been able to see some great speakers from all over the world. And here's what we've noticed, and maybe you've noticed this too. In most conventions or conferences that we go to, there's usually one or two speakers that stand out at the end of the day or 2 or 3 days above everybody else. You can go to a convention that has 30 speakers, and at the end of the convention, there's usually one or two that kind of lock themselves into your mind. The rest, even though they were good, even though they had great stories and they made you laugh and they made you think and they made you cry maybe, and they had PowerPoint slides and all of those things that speakers are supposed to do, even though they did all of that, there's something about the other one or two that make them appear to be just a little bit different, and everybody else kind of falls into their own group. And you got to wonder why that happens. Is it because they have better platform skills? No, it's not. Is it because they tell better stories? Nope. Is it because they have better PowerPoint slides? Or is it because their message is more targeted to the audience? No, it's none of those things. All of those things that I just mentioned, those are the basics. Those are the requirements of a decent speaker. If you can't do those things, then you need to brush up. You're just not at the professional speaking level yet. So it's none of those things. Here's what it is. This is what I can tell you. After 30 years of training speakers all around the world, I've noticed that most speakers, whether they're professional speakers or not, even if they're not professional speakers, even if they're coaches, trainers, authors, financial planners, healers, lawyers, whatever it is they do, and they're using speaking to promote their business, which is a great idea, by the way, but even if they're not professional speakers, they do this one thing. And a lot of professional speakers do this one thing. And I'm going to share with you what it is so that you can go above and beyond and be one of those speakers that stands out. Give me a second to share my iPad because I want you to see how this works. Now, in working with speakers over all these years, here's the commonality that I noticed. I noticed that most speakers are driven by one or more of three primary motivators. And sometimes it's more than one. And it doesn't matter where I go in this world, I usually find that the speakers are driven by one or more of these three primary motivators. And maybe you're one of them. Maybe you can find yourself in here somewhere. The first motivator is what I call the mess. Now, the mess is where you have a huge issue in your life, or a challenge in your life that you have overcome that forms the foundation of who you are. And I know speakers all around this world who have huge messes. It's an injury, or it's an illness, or it's an abusive relationship, or it's the loss of a limb, or it's the death of a loved one, or something that is a huge catastrophe in their life that they have beaten, that they have overcome. And what they do is they bring the lessons that they've learned to the world as a result of that mess. Now, I don't have a mess in my life, and maybe you don't have a mess in your life, but I have something else, and maybe you have this. I have what I call a moment. I have a moment in time when I realized what my passion was, when I realized what my gift was, when I realized what my purpose was. For me, my gift isn't speaking. My gift is taking good speakers, putting them on the stage, reaching the inside of them and pulling magic out of them they never knew existed and turning them into kick-ass speakers. That's my gift, and I found that gift about 25 years ago, and I can take you right to the moment. Now, maybe you have a moment or a series of moments in time when you remember thinking, you know what? This is why I'm here. That's my gift. This is my passion. This is my purpose. Maybe you have that, but maybe you don't. Maybe you don't have a mess, and maybe you don't have a moment. And if you don't have a mess or a moment, then chances are good that you have what I call a mission. A mission is a cause greater than yourself. You know you have a mission if there's something in this world that you are driven to change. There's a legacy that you feel compelled to leave. There's a cause that you feel compelled to champion. You want to leave this world in a better way than it was when you found it in some way. Or maybe you have a combination of all three of these, or maybe two of them, but chances are good that if you get in front of an audience under any capacity for your business, or even just to serve your passion and to evangelize your cause, then you can probably find yourself in one of these primary motivators. And that's good. That's great. Most speakers find themselves in here, and that's good. This makes a great foundation for a great speaker. And then here's the next stage. Most speakers that I see are going to take that mass mission or their moment, and they're going to create from that their message. They'll craft craft their message based on one of the three primary motivators. Now, not always is the primary motivating event included in the message, but the reason the message exists and their motivation for delivering the message is typically found within one or more of those three primary motivators. Now, this is good. This is fine. Within these messages, this is where the speakers embed their solutions. There are 3 pillars to this, or there are 4 secrets to that, or there are 5 steps and stages to this, and they have solutions that they have formulated based on their mess, their moment, or their mission. They'll sprinkle some laughs in there. They'll sprinkle some emotional triggers to make you think and cry and get emotionally attached, and all of that happens within the message, and they master the delivery of the message. And they'll get on the stage and they will deliver it with power. They will have great platform skills. They'll be slick and they'll be smooth and they'll have great body language and they'll do all of that. All of that is great, but here is the problem. This is where most speakers stop. And the reason they stop here is because they don't know to go any further. And what I'm going to share with you is the next step, the next 2 steps that actually sets you apart from every other speaker on the stage. You see, here's the way I sort of look at it, is the speakers who operate at this level here, these speakers are operating at what I call the solution level, which means they're sharing their wisdom and their experiences with the world based on one of the 3 primary motivators, and that's great, that's fine. But this is what all the speakers do, and this is what kind of makes them all look the same. But here's what makes the speaker stand out. You know, the 1 or 2 speakers at the end of the conference that make you remember them and make you take action, they go to this next level, and that's what I call expert insights. Expert insights is when you can provide a snapshot of your audience's world from a perspective that they have never seen before. The expert insights is where you bring to the audience's attention or bring it to their awareness a problem they never knew they had. If you can show them a problem they never knew they had, and if you can demonstrate for that audience the cost of having that problem, and then you can determine the cause of the problem, that positions you now as the only possible solution. So when we operate at the level of expert insights, and if we master the delivery of those expert insights, now we're operating at this level here, and I call that the problem level. I call it the problem level because this is where you are focusing on the problem for the audience, and then your solution becomes relevant. And this is what makes you stand out. When you can get your audience to go, I've never seen this before. I haven't seen it quite like this before. And if you can get your audience to look at what you're doing and say, you know what? I never knew I had this problem. This is an expensive problem for me. Now I know why I have it. I need to talk to this speaker and find out how to fix it. Now that's where you start making bigger money as a speaker. This is where you start getting more people sign up to your programs. This is where you get more speaking gigs. This is where you raise your speaking fees. You sell more books. You get more consulting gigs. More people hire you to coach or whatever it is that you do. This is where you really start generating business. You start being chosen because you're operating at the problem level up here and not spending all your time down here like every other speaker. So here's that process sort of in a nutshell. This is how we describe expert insights. The first thing we want to do is with the expert insights is we want to bring to the audience's awareness a problem they never knew that they had. We want to demonstrate to them the cost of having that problem. We want to show them the cause. Why does the problem exist? What are they doing wrong or not doing that puts them in that problem position? And when we can do that, now that positions you, the speaker, as the most logical solution. And then we take those expert insights here and we embed them into the message, and we bring our message bigger to life by including not only our 3 pillars to this and our 4 secrets to that, but if we bring to the audience's awareness a snapshot of their world that they never existed, that's what's going to make you stand out as a speaker. So here's my challenge to you. For the next speaking gig that you have, whatever it is, I'm going to challenge you. Take a look at your content. And are you just sharing a message and a solution like every other speaker? Or Are you giving the audience a snapshot of their world that they never considered before? Are you bringing their awareness to a problem they didn't know they had? Are you demonstrating the cost of them having that problem? Are you showing them why that problem exists? And then are you positioning yourself as the solution? And if you can do those things, you are going to be the speaker that stands out above everybody else. I'm Steve Lowell. I hope you found this of value. Stay tuned because there's a lot more to come.